What would you do if you gave 15 years of your life, your mind, your very soul to a company, only to be cast aside like a piece of old furniture? What if your invention, the very thing that made them billions, was suddenly less important than having a fresh, young face in the meetings? Most people would take the severance package, update their resume, and quietly fade away. But this isn't a story about most people. This is the story of Kira Jennings, a 55-year-old woman in an industry obsessed with youth who was about to be shown the door. But they didn't know one thing. Kira didn't just see this coming. She had planned for it. And this isn't a story about retirement. This is a masterclass in corporate revenge. So, sit tight, because you're about to watch how a single chess move can topple an entire kingdom. Kira, after 15 years with TechVantage, we're restructuring your position, Marjorie Thompson announced, her voice carrying a barely concealed note of satisfaction. For Kira, the air in the small, sterile conference room felt frigid. Across from her sat Marjorie, the VP, flanked by Denise from HR. Both wore the practiced masks of corporate regret. The company is moving in a new direction, Denise added, sliding a manila folder across the polished mahogany table. Your contributions have been valuable, but we're consolidating the research division under the product development team. Kira nodded, an alarming calm settling over her. She accepted the folder without opening it. She knew exactly what was inside. The standard severance package. 2 weeks' pay for every year of service. Health coverage for 3 months. A list of career counseling resources she would never use. I completely understand, Kira replied, her voice as steady as steel. These decisions are never easy. Relief washed over their faces. They'd clearly been prepared for tears, for protests, maybe even for anger. After all, she was a 55-year-old woman being pushed out of Silicon Valley, a place where experience is often overshadowed by gray hair. But here's what they didn't know. Kira had anticipated this exact moment for weeks. It all started with a misdirected email thread last month, a careless mistake that had laid their entire plan bare. We'd like you to clean out your desk by Friday, Marjorie continued, her confidence growing at Kira's apparent acceptance. We'll need your keycard, company laptop, and phone before you leave. Your team will be notified this afternoon. Her team! 6 brilliant engineers she had personally recruited and mentored. The same team that had helped her develop the distributed processing algorithm, the crown jewel, that now powered TechVantage's flagship product, AccountSphere, an accounting software used by over 40% of the Fortune 500. Of course, Kira said, rising from her chair. Is there anything else? They exchanged a glance, clearly thrown by her composure. That's all for now, Marjorie said. Thank you for making this professional. As Kira walked back to her office, she passed the glass-walled conference room. Inside, CEO Victor Lawson was gesturing animatedly at a PowerPoint slide titled Q3 Revenue Projections. The same Victor Lawson who had taken full credit for her algorithm at last year's industry conference, referring to her only as one of our research team members. Behind her closed office door, Kira pulled out her personal phone and sent a single text message. It's happening. Friday is my last day. The response was almost immediate. Perfect timing. Contracts are ready. Dinner tonight to finalize details. Kira smiled. Today was Wednesday. On Friday, she would leave TechVantage for the last time. And Monday was going to be fascinating. That evening, at Meridian, an upscale restaurant far from TechVantage headquarters, Kira met Gregory Sullivan. As the CEO of Precision Systems, TechVantage's largest competitor, Greg understood the value of discretion. He'd reserved a private dining alcove in the back. They actually did it, Greg said, shaking his head after they'd ordered. I suspected they might. But to cut the very person who developed their core technology. It's insane. Victor never understood what I actually created, Kira replied, sipping her water. He saw the implementation, the user interface, the marketing potential. But the underlying architecture? To him, that was just tech stuff. The irony was almost poetic. 3 months ago, Kira discovered the patent application for her algorithm had never been filed by TechVantage's legal team. An oversight, they'd claimed when she asked. They assured her they'd handle it immediately. But something felt wrong. A gut feeling prompted her to dig into the company's internal documents. And that's when she found it. A strategy memo. It outlined a plan to claim the algorithm as company-developed technology, with no specific inventor attribution. They planned to push her out before securing the patent, knowing that intellectual property developed by employees typically belongs to the company. But TechVantage had made a fatal error. They had underestimated Kira. They didn't know she had been working on refinements to that very algorithm in her own time, using her personal equipment. Those improvements, which boosted processing efficiency by a staggering 43%, weren't covered by her employment agreement. Last month, she had quietly filed for a patent under her own name. It was fully documented with timestamps and development logs, clearly proving the work was completed outside of company time. Thanks to Greg's introduction to a top-tier IP attorney, the patent had been granted with remarkable speed. All the paperwork is finalized, Greg said, sliding a different kind of folder across the table, one of opportunity. As soon as you sign, Precision Systems officially acquires exclusive licensing rights to your patent. The press release goes out Monday morning, announcing you as our new Chief Innovation Officer. Kira reviewed the documents. A 7-figure signing bonus. Substantial equity in Precision Systems, ongoing royalties. This was validation. What do you think Victor's face will look like when he realizes what's happened? Greg asked, unable to hide his satisfaction. I'm more concerned about my team, Kira admitted. They don't deserve to be caught in the fallout. Greg nodded. Already handled. We have positions for all 6 of them. Senior roles with significant raises. Kira signed the final page. In one elegant move, she had secured her future, protected her team, and set the stage for a spectacular corporate takedown. To new beginnings, Greg said, raising his glass. And to owning your own value, Kira added, clinking her glass against his. Thursday and Friday passed in a blur. Exit interviews, knowledge transfer meetings, awkward goodbyes. Kira remained the consummate professional, even as whispers filled the company halls. She documented everything meticulously. This wasn't kindness, it was evidence. Evidence that she had acted in good faith while the company had not. During her final exit interview on Friday afternoon, Denise from HR recited her script. You understand that any intellectual property developed during your employment remains the property of TechVantage, she stated, pushing a non-disclosure agreement across the table. Of course, Kira replied pleasantly. Anything developed within the scope of my employment, using company resources, during company time. She emphasized those qualifiers subtly, but Denise was too busy checking boxes to notice. As Kira packed her desk, family photos, conference badges, the coffee mug her team had given her, Marjorie stopped by, leaning against the doorframe with a false casualness. Just wanted to check that everything's clear for your departure, she said, her eyes on the cardboard box. Crystal clear, Kira replied, carefully wrapping a small award she'd received for that very algorithm. You know, Kira, these restructuring decisions are never personal, Marjorie added. Victor feels the company needs to move in a more youthful direction. Kira looked up, her gaze locking with Marjorie's. I understand completely. Business is business. For a fleeting moment, uncertainty flickered across Marjorie's face. But it was gone as quickly as it came. What could a soon-to-be unemployed 55-year-old woman possibly do? "Will you be taking some time off?" Marjorie asked, with a note of fake concern. "Actually, I already have something lined up," Kira replied. "I start Monday." Surprise registered on Marjorie's features. "That's fast. Anything interesting?" Kira smiled, a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Very. A leadership position. I'm quite excited about it." As Kira walked out of Tech Vantage headquarters for the final time, she glanced back at the building where she'd spent a decade and a half. She knew that in less than 72 hours, that top-floor conference room would be hosting an emergency crisis meeting. And she would be the reason. On Monday morning, at 7 a.m. sharp, the bomb dropped. A press release was issued that sent shockwaves through the tech industry. Precision Systems acquires exclusive rights to revolutionary processing algorithm, welcomes creator Dr. Kira Jennings as new Chief Innovation Officer. The announcement detailed her background, emphasized her role as the sole inventor of the patented technology, and, most importantly, it stated clearly that any company currently using the technology would need to negotiate licensing agreements with Precision Systems. It was a kill shot. At 9:15 a.m., the first text from her old team came through. It was from Miguel, her lead developer. "It's absolute chaos here. What did you do?" Kira smiled. "Check your personal email. All 6 of you have offers waiting." Meanwhile, at Tech Vantage headquarters, all hell broke loose. Victor Lawson had arrived at the office to find the company's general counsel and CFO waiting for him, both ashen-faced. By 9:30 a.m., the routine weekly executive meeting had morphed into a crisis war room. Board members were dialing in remotely. The legal team was frantically reviewing Kira's employment contract. "They're pulling every file with your name on it," Miguel reported in another text. "Someone just wheeled in all the servers from the research division." Kira could picture the scene. Victor pacing, screaming. The company's stock began to plummet. Investors hate uncertainty, and Kira had just created a hurricane. At 10:45 a.m., an email from Victor himself popped up. The desperation practically radiated from the screen. "Kira, there appears to be a misunderstanding. Please call me at your earliest convenience to discuss." She forwarded it to Precision Systems' legal team without a response. By noon, Tech Vantage's stock was down 7%. Precision Systems' stock was up 12%. The move had been made. It was checkmate. "How are you feeling?" Greg asked, stopping by Kira's new, spacious corner office. "Validated," she replied. 15 years of watching others take credit for my work. 15 years of being told I should be grateful just to have a seat at the table. And now, finally, recognition. Her new assistant appeared at the door. "Dr. Jennings, the CEO of Tech Vantage, has called 4 times in the last hour." "Please let him know I'm in meetings all day," Kira said calmly. "Our legal team will reach out to discuss licensing options later this week." Another update from Miguel. "Board just called an emergency session. Victor looks like he's about to explode. P.S. My team and I accept your offer. When can we start?" By Tuesday, the impact was undeniable. Tech Vantage's flagship product, AccountSphere, was entirely dependent on Kira's algorithm. Without it, they were dead in the water. By Wednesday, Denise from HR called, her voice small and strained. "Kira," she began. "We believe there may have been a misunderstanding about ownership." "I don't think there's any misunderstanding," Kira replied coolly. "Intellectual property developed on my own time, using my own resources, remains mine. Any discussions will now have to go through Precision Systems' legal department." The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. By Friday, just 1 week after she was told to clear her desk, The company was in full-blown crisis mode. Their stock had cratered, down 23%. Industry analysts were publishing articles with titles like, "Can TechVantage survive the algorithm crisis?" Finally, TechVantage's attorneys reached out. Kira and Greg's team was ready. They responded with terms that were technically fair, but strategically brutal. 3 times the standard industry licensing rate, plus a public acknowledgement of Kira's role as the technology's inventor. "They'll balk at the acknowledgement more than the cost," Greg predicted. Victor's ego won't allow him to admit he pushed out the person who created their core technology. "Then they'll have to rebuild from scratch," Kira replied. "And every day they spend trying to replicate my work is another day we extend our lead in the market." 10 days after her dismissal, Kira led the first meeting of her newly assembled innovation team, which included all 6 of her former engineers. The energy in the room was electric. As they wrapped up, her assistant appeared. "Dr. Jennings, there's been a significant development. TechVantage's board just announced an emergency leadership change. Victor Lawson is stepping down, effective immediately." Marjorie Thompson was also out, along with the head of legal, a complete house cleaning. That evening, Kira received an email from TechVantage's new interim CEO. No desperation, just straightforward respect. "Dr. Jennings, congratulations on your new position. I would like to discuss a fair licensing arrangement. We are prepared to publicly acknowledge your contributions and make appropriate amends for the oversights of previous management." Kira forwarded it to Greg with a simple note. Phase 1 complete. 1 year to the day after she was told to clear out her desk, Kira sat in her spacious office at Precision Systems. Under her leadership, the company had officially surpassed TechVantage in market valuation for the first time in history. She had become an icon. The story of the executive who didn't recognize what she had until it was gone became a cautionary tale in corporate boardrooms across the country. On her desk sat an invitation. It was to be the keynote speaker at the Women in Technology Leadership Summit. The topic, owning your intellectual value. Greg walked in with a bottle of champagne. "Happy anniversary," he said. "To showing the industry that innovation isn't anonymous. It comes from real people who deserve real credit." As they clinked glasses, with the afternoon sun streaming through her windows, Kira reflected on her journey. At 56, she hadn't just found success, but acknowledgement. Her name was now permanently attached to the algorithm that had changed an industry. Exactly where it belonged. Kira's story is a powerful reminder. Never underestimate your own value, and never, ever underestimate a person with a plan. Now we want to hear from you. Have you ever felt undervalued in your job? What do you think was Kira's smartest move? Filing the patent herself, saving her team, or the way she forced the public acknowledgement? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you loved this story of epic corporate justice, smash that like button and make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. You won't